Ada, Amedio, 50,000 people in Nigeria. Support. Always make sure that your name is registered. So our topic today says amalgamation of Nigeria was the original terror. So what will be the opposite now? The opposite will be de-amalgamation. We need to split so that we can have peace. Amalgamation of Nigeria was the original terror of why people are being slaughtered today in Nigeria and the government is not doing anything. What will counter this? De-amalgamation. We just need to add a D and everything will scatter. And what will be the result of this? It will give us peace. Both ways, everybody, both in Nigeria and in Biafra land, will have peace. My COS, I don't know. I can't see you again. I don't know if internet kicked you out, but I wanted you to greet the house before we start. And I really appreciate you accepting to be our co-host this night. Thank you so much. I don't know if you're still there. Yeah, Rich, do you have any announcement?
No. I just raised my hand for the topic. But when it's my turn, I will speak on the topic.
I beg, it's too early now. I know you are here. Go down, go down. I know you are here, Rich. I'm looking for COS. Can you still see him as a co-host?
No. I can't see him. Oh, it's not there. He has the
Okay,
kids up.
okay. Thank you. Now, my people, that is the topic for today. And I want us to know, okay, COS is back. Let me send it again, sir. So, I just want us to know something. After going through the event that happened last week, today is Monday, a new beginning with a fresh air, I now discovered something which I've added and we need to expatiate on it. That two crimes were committed against us. The first one, the first crime was committed in 1914, and the other is committed right now in 2026, which started from 2025. So they were done by different people in different centuries and for different reasons. But if you look at the two crimes, they shared one method, and that method is forced amalgamation. Yeah. The first amalgamation was done by a British soldier, Lord Lugard, and he took two completely different civilizations and forced them into a one country without asking us for our consent, nothing, without asking any single African person. And he originated or created the artificial name called Nigeria. And this is like 112 years of that first mega, which has produced terrorism. And they themselves that forced us into this contraption have bluntly refused to stop terrorism. Instead, they are funding terrorism. And that country is United Kingdom. That mega has produced civil war, which more than 5 million Biafrans were killed. That forceful amalgamation has stolen our resources. Yes, that forceful amalgamation has led to the death of more than 50,000 people in Nigeria. But if you look at the trend, you will see that we have a second amalgamation that is happening right now, which is done because it is still current by people who call themselves Biafrans, the breakaway group from the legitimate brig. Yes, Because if you look at other groups, by that time, we did not have a government. So for me, they did not exist. Those groups now catapulted us to the level that we are, which we have a government now. So a sensible Biafran should know that we have a government, and there's nothing any group or organization or cluster of family members will do for them, because we have a government. The government that our first prime minister with all his cabinet members and all Biafrans structured and built. They stole the name from us. They took and designed their letterheaded paper with the name Briggy. And they brought in a man who admits on a video that he does not know the fastest way to achieve Biafra's freedom. And the only strategy he knows is prayer. They brought a man who went to Finland and described learning from local lawyers. So they have forced this man into our freedom movement. That is why I say second amalgamation. They have forced this man on the Biafran people in their group who are so gullible, following academic fake title holders. And they've given him a name, Special Envoy. So we have two amalgamations. You could see the same method, the same result, confusion, and people who are supposed to be protected are the ones paying the price. So today we are going to look at both of these crimes in full detail with fact, with document. With the man's name one word on his Zoom call. And then I'm going to show you the only answer to both of them. Before we start the space properly, I don't know. Sorry, COAs. Maybe say hi to the house first, even though we've not started before I continue. Welcome, sir. I'm so honored to have you as our co-host this evening. You have the mic, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone from my end. Rage and Fury, it's good to see you. Tutos, you're welcome. And all Biafrans, please, I'm not going to go into mentioning names. I know we have limited time today as it's work week. So we're going to make good use of whatever time we've got. I want to stand on the existing protocol, greeting all our leaders and our defense forces, and each and every one of you who is standing in the front line for the Biafran cause, be it in the media, in the homeland, or wherever you are doing whatever you're doing for Biafra. I appreciate each and every one of you. To our senior citizens who are here or who are going to join us, you're welcome. The HOD of listener section. I cannot finish without greeting you. Maybe I'll get a cup of coffee, Emeka, greetings from here, and see McTony. And each and every one of you, you're all welcome to today's space. Please, let's make it very much engaging. Share the space so that others can come in, because our conversation this morning is a very interesting one. We have to understand the root cause of Nigerian problem, which is this amalgamation. The amalgamation of 1914 is the beginning of Nigerian problem. After the Ekumeku War, a lot of people don't know most of our history that got us to where we are today. So share the space, please. If you are listening, even if you're not going to speak, please share this space. It's very important. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Tuto.
Thank you, sir. You are highly welcome. And we are delighted to have you in our midst, and above all, accepting the position of a co-host. Thank you, sir. So before we go deeply, because this still connects to our topic today, our information minister has called our attention to what is circulating in the media by a man who is supposed to, educate Biafrans more. And each time you see the tweet from this man, he is always sharing tweets with those who are benefiting from Nigeria. Always sharing tweets with those who have NGOs in Nigeria, who doesn't want Nigeria to disintegrate, who doesn't want the de-amalgamation to take place in Nigeria. And that man is no other person than the sacked lawyer Jimako, and his team. So go to our information minister's handle. You will see where he has called each and every one of us to go and debunk him. I have quoted him. So you do the same. Yes, because we have to let this man know that we are here for our freedom. We are not going to trade our freedom for anything. So go and reply him if you have not. And as you rightly heard from our CEOs, share the space. It is free to share. So that is what I want to talk about briefly before we commence the space fully. If you want to buy coffee for our COS, easy. You know, it's not easy to bring the COS to our Prime Minister to be in our space, not to even talk less of being our co-host. Hey, he will be tasty. And this tasting, it will not be like giving him a bottle of bottled water. He always drink coffee when he is thirsty. So if you are here and you want to support him, you want to quench his thirst, we don't want to have any dry thirst because very soon he'll start to talk to Biafran people. Hey, do what you're supposed to do and send your receipt. So something has been circulating. We've seen a flyer, we've also seen an invoice addressed to Britain from the useless sacked lawyer called Aloy Ejimako, listing what Britain owes us. We've seen a wrongful death up to 3 million people, because that is less. More than 5 million people died. We have seen all revenue from that script. I just glanced through it, taken from Biafra territory, and the structural damages from 112 years of the colonial contraption. So a total that runs to $6 trillion, twice Britain's annual GDP. Now, it's being shared everywhere, and that document says Britain's bill is due. Now, I want to tell you what I think about it, because we have to really come out and say it the way it is. The history behind that invoice is real. Every line item on it is supported by documented evidence, not by us Biafran activists, no, but by Britain's own declassified government file. Now, if you go through it, you see, and by now we have known that in August 1967, as the war against Biafra was intensifying, Britain's own commission, what do they call him? Commonwealth Minister Josh Thomas wrote a secret paper to their then Prime Minister called Harold Wilson. And in that paper, he described Britain's reasons for supporting Nigeria against Biafra. I'm just using this to buy time and wait for our people to join. This is not, but it connects to what we are going to talk about today. So I want to read his exact words from the declassified British National Archives. He said, the sole immediate British interest in Nigeria is that the Nigerian economy should be brought back to a condition in which our substantial trade and investment in the country can be further developed, and particularly we can regain access to important oil installation. You know, I'm not the one that accused them with this. This is their confession written in their British government document by their minister. And he wrote this to their prime minister. The sole immediate British interest is not for peace. Mbano. The only interest that Britain has is oil installation. It is not the lives of the Biafran civilians. And that was the reason why you could see, what was his name? Charles, celebrating Tinubu, and Tinubu was now telling Charles, oh, remember, this was where I came to take shelter when I had political opponents who were after my life. It was Britain that shielded me, and the NSA said the same thing. So he did not just go there for going sake or to do a fan face, like a way of paying them back, appreciating UK, Charles in particular, for what they did to Tinubu. And in return, whatever United Kingdom tell the Nigerian government to do against the Biafran people, they will continue to do it, because their interest is not in the amalgamation. No, their interest is in a renewed amalgamation. And renewing that amalgamation, you could see that it is more of the interest of the UK, not even the interest of Nigerians, because anyway, we'll go to that later. So the only interest they have is in the oil installation. And the Foreign Office, in the days just before the war broke out, also wrote his own and said, our direct interests are trade and investment, including an important stake by Shell and BP in the eastern region. This is in Biafra land. Now, Shell BP, we've done a lot of spaces on this, but just a recap, because we are humans, we have forgotten. At that time was owned by the British government then. So most of its Nigerian oil operations were in Biafra territory. And the Britain's own official document confirmed that the company stood to lose everything if Biafra won its independence, which is still what they're afraid of till date. They are so afraid of our independence, I don't know why. Because they know that they are going to lose the only interest that they have in Nigeria, which is oil. To tell you that these people have not forgotten their contract, when Boris Johnson visited Imo, he repeated the same thing, telling the whole world what they are extracting from Nigeria. And one of it was the oil. And what do they give back to Nigeria? Weapons, unquote. Remember the name that he used to call the weapons? To not be from my mouth that you will hear. So, Britain's own official document confirmed that the company stood to lose everything if we Biafrans have our independence. And then Josh Thomas noted in another document that Shell have much to lose if the federal military government do not achieve the expected victory. So UK will lose, Shell will lose. So they were now protecting the interests of UK and at the same time protecting the interests of Shell. And today Shell is the #1 oil company in Nigeria, drilling our oil, while we are folding our hands waiting for United States of America to come and give us independence. You see? So what did this man really do? This Harold Wilson Labour government do? They now armed Nigeria during that wartime. They armed Nigeria. Secretly, millions of rounds of ammunition was sent to Nigeria, all those machine guns, and which is one of the MOU that Tinubu went back to renew. And who signed it? Musa. So they brought fast patrol boats specifically to maintain the blockade against the Biafran people. Which now led to the starvation. And because of the Biafran war, we are the first people, and that even made scientists to give the name Kwashoko. Because of the skeletons on our children, on our mothers, they had to use our own images, design it and put it up there, and they gave a name Kwashoko. You see, they used us for their research and then they came up with a conclusion. Because when you are starving, the only thing that is happening in your system now that time is the proteins in your body are being used to generate energy for you. Initially, under normal circumstances, when you are not starving, the first source of energy that your body will use is glucose. When the starch you've eaten has been broken down to the simplest form, which is glucose, your body will first of all use glucose because it is simplified enough. If there is no carbohydrate, you've not seen fufu to eat, you've not seen rice to eat, the stored fat in your body will now be converted to give you energy. Now, protein that is meant for other structural function in your body, secreting of hormones and all that, when there is no any other source of energy, your body will now be using your muscles protein to generate energy. And what does that mean? Your flesh, your muscle will begin to shrink. This is not starvation of 1 day or 1 week, till all the proteins there, all your muscle proteins have all been used up. Then your bones will start to emerge, appear everywhere, and then we start to count your ribs. You could even see that the intercostal muscle between your ribs are disappearing. Nothing to feed them back. So that was how they
It's
started.
like that is a little HIV/AIDS. So
Resh, you will pay fine if you disrupt me again. So that is what happened to our children, our mothers. You could also see how can a mother that is breastfeeding now, all her muscles are gone. Everything is gone because that woman has been starving. You could also see their ribs coming out. Their breasts had fallen, pata. So you could imagine what are the babies sucking? Nothing. They're just suckling the breast milk. Nothing is coming out. All that happened because of the blockade carried out by this same Britain. So, and while all of this was happening, Wilson stood in the House of Commons on May 16, 1968, and this is what he said: "We have continued the supply of arms by private manufacturers in the country exactly on the basis that it has been in the past. But there has been no special provision for the needs of the war." You know, while this was going on, they never allowed the United States of America to know what was happening. Britain lied to US that nothing was happening in Nigeria, that they've taken control, not knowing that they were still smuggling weapons through the back door, through other neighboring countries, and then they sold it directly to Nigeria. So Nigeria bought from neighboring countries and then used that to be killing Biafrans, and they were targeting institutions then, you know. So what this man said, you could come, you realize that it was all lies. He was lying because the declassified files prove it was a lie. We are not the ones that is saying it. It is their document that is saying it. There was a special provision. There was escalating provision as well. So 2 days after Wilson rebuffed parliamentarians who were estimating 2 million dead from starvation and begging him to stop. 2 days after that, he sent them away, and he secretly agreed supplying Nigeria with aircraft for the very first time. You see, so the only thing that UK and Nigeria know are lies. That is what they know. So he stood in the parliament and lied. Then they secretly escalated the killing gradually without even a journalist carrying the news. They sanctioned all the journalists by then not to report anything that is happening in Biafra land. So when images of skeletal Biafran children that died of that kwashiorkor from deliberate blockade, shocked the entire world, Wilson called it propaganda, which is what the Nigerian government is doing today, calling all the killings happening in Nigeria as propaganda. Even the wife to Ojukwu, our eternal leader, Bianca Ojukwu, is still calling the same genocide propaganda. Daniel Bwala is calling propaganda. Aloy Ejimakor is calling propaganda. Yes, because how can you be supporting Nigeria that killed our people? And when you want to address Biafrans, you'll be saying Ndibo. We are Biafrans, we are not Ndibo. Why is he so afraid to use the name Biafrans? Every time Ndibo. So he is afraid of something. He's not proud to be a Biafran because he's afraid of his paymaster. So the propaganda did not start today. The lies did not start today. So between 1 and 3 million people that died, according to them, most of them were children, and they all died because of starvation. And Nigeria said no victor, no vanquish, and Britain now, pocketed it all, and that all that came from our Biafra land, and shall continue operating in our territory till today. You see, and after 55 years, in March 2026, you could see Tinubu in a golden carriage to Windsor Castle, and he signed deals with the same crown to create jobs in Skuntop. He's not signing to create jobs for his citizens that are even Nigerians, not to talk of Biafrans. He's creating jobs for UK citizens at Skuntop. We will come to that later. I just said I should address what Ejimakor shared in his handle before we start the space. So the history is real because it is documented, and every line on that invoice is documented. So Britain, really, they owe us, but we are not after that now. So the calculation of $6 trillion is not pulled from the air. They know they are owing us, and the only thing they are owing us is our freedom. That's it. It is our freedom that they are owing us. And we have responded. We have responded. And I want to tell you what we have responded, which is what our information minister wants all of us to respond. If you did not have the clarity, this is why our information minister said we should all respond back to our lawyer Ejimakor and Mike Arnold and say that we Biafrans reject money for blood. This is not our problem. We choose freedom. So I'm using this medium now to explain why our information minister said all of us should go and reply Lawyer Ejimakor. You have to reply Mike Arnold, because two of them, Mike Arnold was the one that designed it, and Lawyer Ejimakor picked it up because you will always find him in the circle of those that are supporting one Nigeria. those that are still supporting amalgamation, which is the original terror that we are facing today. So we choose freedom. This is not the kind of bid you should throw for Biafran blood. Don't put a price tag for Biafran blood. That is the response we are giving back to Aloy Ejimako and Mike Arnold. Mike Arnold has so many NGOs in Nigeria, so he's afraid of losing his NGOs. They are milking money. Mike Arnold is just like the pulpit bandits. Any opportunity they see to make sure Nigeria is one, they grab it and they hold it very strong. You see? So we are right. Because it is not just an emotional reaction. No. This is a principled legal and political position that we have taken. So when you accept a reparations payment from a country that committed the crime, you are implicitly accepting that the matter is closed. So if you are here and you feel that this message our information minister passed out is not important, I want you to know that if you don't fight back this tweet, you are indirectly accepting that the matter is closed when the wound is still very fresh. You are saying we have received compensation. You are saying that we have received acknowledgement and now we move forward within the existing framework of the terrorist country, UK and Nigeria. So that is what reparation means in international law. And Aloy Ejimako is supposed to know much better. But you know what? He was studying the back of the law. So he doesn't know. A man that couldn't win one single case for Aonyendu is coming out every time to pass fake information to the Biafran people just to keep Nigeria one. So they are a settlement, a closing of a claim, a recognition that the future will be built on the same foundation that produced the crime, just with some financial correction applied. So Biafra people do not want that settlement now. We don't want it. We do not want to be compensated for existing inside a structure that has been killing us since 1914. So we want to exceed that structure right now because no amount of money changes what this structure is designed to do. $6 trillion posted out there by Mike Arnold and shared by Aloy Ejimako, deposited into a Biafran account inside Nigeria, still run by the same political system, still controlled by the same interests that armed the blockade, will not protect a single Biafra child tomorrow. And I want to point out something about the timing and the company. Aloy Ejimako is the one circulating this invoice. Aloy Ejimako. And you will see that the stupid saboteur group will also join in sharing without understanding the implication of sharing what Aloy Ejimako is helping Mike Arnold to share. So we are rejecting this thing outrightly. We are rejecting because he is sitting in a space that includes people who openly say they have businesses that are fearing to lose their business, and one of such persons is Mike Arnold. People whose interest is in keeping Nigeria together because their economic survival depends on it, including Aloy Ejimako. You see? So that is a very convenient argument for people who do not want Biafra to be free. Give them a financial claim. Give them something that looks like justice. But keep the structure that produces that injustice intact. That is what Aloy Ejimako is fighting for. Keep the oil flowing. Keep Biafra inside Nigeria. Just pay them enough to stop asking for the exit. The same amount of money that they've been bribing Aonyendu, and he said no, it is either Biafra nor Biafra. So why would his claim lawyer, unquote, come out and be sharing such a stupid thing in his X handle? The other day, he also shared that Biafra should go and get voters card, and he gave a disclaimer that he's not the one that wrote it. I don't know if he doesn't have children that should call him to order. Aloy Ejimako understands the legal implication of filing a reparation claims. He knows. They have just instituted what they call 100 men. When we have passed the level of 100 men, for how many years will you be canvassing for 100 men? We are no more a group, we have a government. So this man knows the implication of what he is sharing in his handle. A reparation claims before the International Court of Justice requires a recognized government entity to file it. It also requires a recognized state or a state successor entity with legal standing. So if the Biafra Republic government in exile continues building its case and achieves recognition as the legitimate government of the Biafran people, then Brigi, our government, headed by His Excellency Ogechukwu Nkere, would have legal standing to file that claim, not allow Ejimako, who is supporting one Nigeria. I don't know if I'm making sense here. But filing a reparation claim before achieving your self-determination means you are asking Britain to pay you compensation while Britain's allies, Nigeria, continue to govern you. You see what Elon Ejimako is pushing Biafrans to do? That is a settlement that acknowledges your subjugation. And who is leading this troop? Elon Ejimako. Even though the invoice is historically accurate, the calculation is reasonable by international precedent, but the framing of it is wrong. This is not a reparation case that comes before freedom. This is a reparation case that comes after freedom. So first thing is self-determination, first thing is freedom, then accountability follows. So freedom must come first, then Britain bills will come. We do not put a price tag on Biafran blood. We do not negotiate our freedom for a financial settlement. We do not accept money that keeps us inside the structure that spilled our blood. No, it is freedom first. Then Britain pays what it owes to a free Biafran government that has the legal standing to collect the money. You see? So if you go back now to what happened this March, with everything now that we have discussed, you could see that the same crown that Harold Wilson served signed that order to arm Nigeria against Biafra, that same crown whose government wrote that their sole interest was regaining access to oil installation, that same crown that called images of starving Biafran children propaganda, that same crown welcomed Tinubu to Windsor Castle, King Charles. So what did Tinubu sign? He signed a deal for Britain to refurbish Nigeria's Lagos port using a loan that requires Nigeria, which we know very well that it is the Biafran people that will pay that money. So Britain never apologized for the Biafran war. They did not. They did not apologize. We don't even need the apology. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me? What? Can anybody still hear? So, you know, there is a reason why that invoice argument is being pushed right now. There is a growing international attention on Biafra. Yes, that is why they are pushing that invoice out. The Trump administration used the word genocide in an official statement about what is happening to Christians in Nigeria. And the Biafra Republic government in exile, we have our own lobbyist in Washington, D.C. So the case is being built in real rooms with real lawyers, not Ejimako's coconut head, and real congressional relationship. So for the first time in decades, Biafra's self-determination argument is gaining serious traction in the one capital that matters most, not with prayers. So some people are already scared of it. They are scared of what happens when that argument succeeds, which has already succeeded, because a free Biafra would have full legal standing to file a $6 trillion claims against Britain when it is time. We are going to still file against Shell, because none of them will escape their accountability. They must be held accountable for all the offense, all the genocide they've committed against the Biafran people. So it is not about Aloy Ejimako, who is jumping out to come and showcase his face and do as if he even knows. He knows that he has no legality in what he is trending now. He doesn't have. It is the Biafra Republic government in exile that has the legal entity to file this, not him. And we are not ready for this. We want our freedom first. Yes. So that is exactly why the invoice is being circulated now. Not to build towards freedom, but to substitute for it. to give Biafrans a number to focus on and high hopes, and then they'll forget about their freedom and say, oh, money is coming. No, we have passed that level. Can you follow the trend that has been happening since last week? Are you people following the trend? They came out and made video, 100 men. Immediately after 100 men, they brought another one, go and collect your voter's card. After that, they are now bringing this invoice just to distract you. You see what is, we have to have the spirit of discernment, and then being as strong as we are, we said, no, we are very, very focused. We are not focusing on numbers. Because you could see that they've succeeded to derail some fools to be giving them free money. And the person receiving that free money is IJRA's pastor. Your money is gone. So we don't want to be kept inside the structure that enslaves us. No, we don't want that. So Biafra reject blood money. Biafra reject money for blood as well. Both blood money and money for blood. Not because the money is not owed. No, it is owed. Every penny of it is documented in British government file. And when the time comes, we will dig it out. We are not looking at that now. But because freedom is not for sale, and because a free Biafra that will be recognized, structured, legally represented by Biafra Republic government in Washington, D.C., is the only entity that can actually collect that debt. Not Aloy Ejimako, not Mike Arnold. It can never happen. It can never happen. So I just wanted to use that period to the few minutes there to explain what Aloy Ejimako is doing as an information minister, drew our attention, and they expect all of us to give it back to him, bomber to bomber. So I don't know if my COS, COS as our co-host, have anything to say before we start the space.
No, not really. I'm already done discussing Aloy Ejimako. He's irrelevant as far as I am concerned. These people are just distractions. We get distractions from different angles. We get distractions from those who are supposed to be fighting with us and those who are supposed to be fighting for us. Because the attorneys of our leader, NNAMDI KANU, or be it Mazi Simon as attorney, they're supposed to be in the side of the Biafran people. If they truly are defending these men who stood for Biafra, then they should all be standing for Biafra. It's like you see Elias today. Elias stands on the side of the government that he is working for. The same thing with Attorney Dabiri. So if these men were working for our leader, they would not be spewing all the rubbish they're spewing. So speaking about them, in my own view, is giving prose to whatever nonsense that they are saying and getting more people to hear their rubbish. So, but I am more interested in us going into the topic so that our people will understand that in the beginning, Nigeria was never supposed to be. Nigeria was never supposed to be. If Nigeria was ever supposed to be, or if Nigeria ever meant something good for anybody, the criminal, unstable Aloy Ejimako would not leave his practice that he has achieved here in the United States and go back to a place where only criminals can survive to be able to practice his whatever he has studied in the United States. So Nigeria doesn't work for anybody. It's never going to work for anybody. But the amalgamation of Nigeria is what people need to know. People need to understand 1914, pre-1914, and all of that. How the name was coined, who coined this name, and who was this person that was later referred to as a journalist. She was just a cheap whore, a cheap prostitute called Flora Shaw. So we will dig into all of this so that those who do not know will understand the meaning of protectorate and why they had to merge the different protectorates together to create what they call Nigeria. I don't have much to say about what you've just outlined, but our people should find a way to disregard people like Aloy Ejimako. more of his kind will still come up, but we should learn how to disregard some of these people and their nonsense. Thank you so much, Tutor. Love Wanine, greetings from here. I see you. Uncle Samuel, greetings and welcome.
Thank you so much, original COS. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what we can do in the first part of amalgamation. I said we have two amalgamations. First one is the one that was carried out by Britain, while the second amalgamation is from those who claim that they were fighting for the Biafran people by imposing a foreigner who knows nothing about Biafra on our people. So, as our CEO has rightly said, it happened on January 1st, 1914, by the same Frederick Lugard, who signed a document in Lagos. It's not an African man that signed the document, too. It was Lord Lugard that signed this document. And no community was consulted. There was no referendum that was held that time. Just one British signature. Just one. That signature brought people of different tribes, people completely with different world, different reasoning, different way of worship, different way of dressing. All of us, they put all of us inside one basin, bam, and declared a one country. They even forced the name nigger on all of us, which is the artificial Nigeria. And the North was an Islamic civilization, which they had the Sokoto Caliphate. I will not go so deep because we had already had a space on this, but I want to now connect it to what is happening recently. So the North also had what they call the Borno Empire. They had the Sharia court, they had Emirate Council, they have centuries of Islamic governance. And the South, specifically Biafra land, was completely different, a different universe. We had what was called Igbo civilization, and we had no central king. No single ruler could sign his people away. Communities, council, consensus, we had the Efik, we had the Jos, we had the Ibibio, we had the Ogoni, each with its system built over generations. None of them were asked, none of these people were asked to give their consent when this terrorist UK amalgamated us and put inside one country. None of them. So we're a complete different universe. Now, this mega was done not for unity. As they merged us together, it was not for unity, neither was it for peace. It was not even for Africans. You see? So let's look at now the colonial record exactly as it stands, because all that they did was not for the betterment of our people. Look at now. The northern Nigeria had a 10-year budget deficit. And Britain had paid over £4 million just to keep the North financially alive. Lugard wrote in his own world report that amalgamation was necessary because Northern Nigeria could not pay for itself. So the South had the money, the North needed that money, and Britain arranged the transaction for them. Now, when you see Tinubu share tools, working tools for us, they've already marked us out as people that have to work and feed the northern part, feed the southwest. So we work, they gave us a sewing machine, gave a deep freezer, gave all forms of tools for you to keep on working and keep on generating revenue. For the northern part that he gave them money and bags of rice, and for the Yorubas that he gave cartons of Indomie, rice and all that. So it did not start today. We are the oxygen for the existence of Nigeria today. And you could see why they are panicking. They are so afraid to let us go. UK is afraid to let us go because they know that all the resources that Nigeria is milking belong to the Biafra people. And we can govern ourselves. We have governed ourselves before. It is not something new. So Britain had to pay over these £4 million just to keep the North financially alive because the North had nothing. Absolutely nothing. And they had a British secretary that time called Lord Lewis Harcourt. This man described the coming merger at a dinner in 1913 as a marriage between a promising young man with nothing and a certain lady of means. Did you see? The northern people have nothing. Nothing, no resources, nothing. Even if they have, they are lazy to extract their resources. They are lazy to farm. They are lazy. And that is the reason you've seen terrorists taking over all those areas with rich mineral resources, because they themselves are not creative. Why? Because Lord Lugard has already prepared their mind for laziness, hoping fully on the southern part of Nigeria, which is the Biafran territory, to be feeding them, giving them money. So the only thing they can do now to sustain that profile is to make sure they create more states for themselves. That is what is playing out here. And that was the reason why this man used this as this comparison, that it is a marriage between a promising young man with nothing and a certain lady who has all the means to run the affairs of the family. That is already a red flag. How can you marry a woman you cannot even provide a mattress for the woman to lie down? You can't even afford a single room. So the North has been like that, while the South has been feeding the North. So that is how he described the people of our region, which are the Biafran people. A bank account for the North debt. And then to celebrate this arrangement personally, Lord Lugard named a city in the heart of Biafra land after that same Lord Harcourt, 1 year before the merger happened. And we still call it Port Harcourt today. So that was how we got the name Port Harcourt today, from the British Secretary of State. I don't know if I'm still being heard. Because he gave a very good analogy, comparing a lazy man with a young lady that has all the means to take care of her family. So because of that, they also said to him and said, don't worry, we will create a state in the Biafra land and name it after you, so that your name will keep on ringing generations after generations. So they named that city Port Harcourt, which is still existing today. And many of us have been to Port Harcourt. Many of us have also lived in Port Harcourt. So Nigeria's own first Prime Minister, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, said it himself. I'm going to read what he said. He said, since 1914, the British government has been trying to make Nigeria into one country. But the Nigerian people themselves are historically different in their backgrounds, in their religious beliefs and customs, and do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite. Nigerian unity is a British intention for the country. Did you hear what your first minister said? Nigerian unity was never a Nigerian idea. Nigeria's own first Prime Minister said it loud. On record, though, it was a British intention, imposed. Do you see that we also have a second amalgamation of another Beke that wants to be imposed on the Biafran people? British imposed this on us. It is British intention. It wasn't chosen by the people. And everything that has happened in Nigeria since 1914 is the consequence of that imposition. This is the reason why me and you have to fight against anybody that is bringing another experiment to test with the Biafran people. It will not work. We will come there later. Let's finish with Nigerian case first, which is the first amalgamation. Now, if you look at that story, look at what happened. Tinubu went to UK. Instead of Charles to say, oh, we have seen a lot of genocide that has been happening, the same genocide that Chatham House has reported. They have read the news, they have read the article, but still they said, no, our unity is not negotiable. Nigeria must, Boko Haram must keep on killing. We will give you weapons to make sure that Boko Haram keep on killing. The amalgamation must continue. But we, the Biafran people, say no. We want the amalgamation because that is what will bring peace. Your amalgamation, as Tafawa Balewa said, it is not yielding any fruit. We are not willing. He said they do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite. It is so bad that if you even have anything to do with a Yoruba person already knows inside him or her that he is not you, that you have nothing in common with him. A Northerner knows that you, Biafran, you are a different entity entirely. They know it. Even we having anything to do with them, we know that these people are not the same people with us. We don't share the same genealogy with them, nothing. We are not the same. We don't even reason like them. So that demarcation is always there. Even when they don't want to speak it out, it is there, deep down inside them. We don't trust ourselves because we are not the same set of people. And we are not even willing to unite. We don't want. The way we Biafrans reason is totally different from the way a Northerner would reason. And it's different from the way a Yoruba person would. Forget about this marriage thing. They are deceiving themselves. I am telling you, I'm not to anybody apology. It's not about love. You are pretending that you are happy where you are. You are not even sure of your security. Because a Yoruba man can get up one day and say, end this thing, go back to your Biafra land. What will you do? All this marriage I'm saying is ceremonial. A Yoruba man marrying Igbo man or a Igbo man marrying a Yoruba man. I don't know, I'm just saying my mind because, nah, these people don't trust us. They don't. This marriage is conditioned. It's a conditional marriage. That is the way I'm seeing it because we can never be one. We were forced together. The whole tribe forced together. And now they come to our side to still force themselves on us. Because they feel that they have security once they are able to marry a Biafran. So it is an investment for them. They are beginning to secure their future because they know that one day Biafra will be free, while terrorists will take over them. So it's like a security for them and an insurance as well. Oh, if the terrorists take over Biafra land, they'll say, I am in-law. They will protect me because I am their in-law. That is what they are doing. If I've offended you, sorry, but that is the truth. You see? So they impose this thing on us. And everything that has happened since then is the consequence of that amalgamation. So the name Nigeria was invented by a British journalist by name Flora Shaw in 1897. That is the woman that gave Nigeria this name that we are bearing today. A name that once they hear Nigeria, people may, if you're not careful, they spit on your face. And later she became Lugat's wife. Whatever you do for Britain, they will always compensate you. They've compensated Tinubu, they've compensated Ribadu, they've compensated, what is her name? Bianca Ojukwu. All of them that decided and accepted to play the template of Britain, they have compensated them. The other one gave analogy of a man and a woman. They said, okay, let us name a city after you so that they'll always remember you. Now Flora now said, okay, I have come up with a new name to give to these people, Nigeria. And Lord Lugard said, oh yeah, come and be my wife, let me use that and settle you. So that is what has been happening. And we have 112 years of consequences from a direct, a deficit to 50 to 100,000 bodies every year that has been killed by Boko Haram. Lugard amalgamation created what I called a structural impossibility. That one is my own English. A structural impossibility. Two different governance systems forced into one box to manage the North without resistance. And he used indirect rule, keep the emees in power, and he told them, keep your court, keep your title, just answer to me. So that division became the permanent fault line of Nigeria. The same north-south tension, the same federal resource flowing to manage a region that was never self-sufficient, the same oil from the southeast Biafra land disappearing into Abuja's allocation formulas. And the Biafra War from 1967 to till date, I don't like ending it in 70, was the first explosion of that original violence. That was the first explosion of it, where more than 5 million people died. But what happened? They were still pumping weapons to Nigeria. And when it ended, the government said there is no victor, no vanquish. But they restructure, the reconstruction money for the Biafra land and Biafra territory never came. The agreement they had never came. The old Biafran currency was exchanged at a rate that was wiped out. That rate wiped out the life savings of millions completely. They made sure that it was useless, valueless, so that you could not even be proud of your Biafra currency then. And the oil under Biafran land continued flowing to build the federal government that had just spent 3 years bombing the Biafran people. No victor according to what they said, no vanquish, but all the oil belongs to Abuja. That is what that phrase meant in practice. And now if you look at 2026, the Global Terrorism Index ranked Nigeria as the 4th most terrorized country in the entire planet. They should give us number 1. They are not sincere in their data. Nigerians killed by terrorism in 1 year. More than 100,000 people have been killed. And it is the largest in the whole world. So why would they not be the 4th? So they should keep the Nigeria as number 1. Number 1. Nigeria should be number 1. And we saw what Tinubu did a few days ago when he went to London for what was called the first state visit by the West African leader to the UK in 37 years. I'm like, did he tell them the number of people that have been killed within these 37 years? The answer is no. There was no discussion of such. They took a photograph, they were dancing and smiling, carried in carriages, everybody smiling. Akpabio was like, let me not fall off from this carriage because he's not used to it. I could see it on their faces. Because in Nigeria, they drive inside Jeep. Well balanced. They were afraid. And at the heart of it, a defense minister that called himself Musa signed new security agreement. So Britain now share intelligence with Nigeria on counter-terrorism. But before I even get to that security agreement, I need to explain that the 746 million deal that people are jubilating without understanding what it means will be shocking. Even though we have said this before a few days ago in our space, but just a little recap that 746 million pounds is a financing package to refurbish two Lagos port complexes, not in Biafra land though. Lagos Port Complex at Apapa and the Tinkan Island Port Complex. They did not make any reference or even mention Biafra land seaport that we have everywhere. And they said that this port need work. And I'm going to tell them that they do not need. The question is, who will benefit from the deal and how? We have said it before. We need to leave this country if you are ready to fund your freedom. Because the money is coming from UK Export Finance. And that is Britain's own government export credit agency. And here is the condition built into the structure of that financing. Now, at minimum, 20% of all the contracts under this deal must go to British companies. Point one. That means that at least 236 million pounds of Nigeria's borrowed money is required by the loan term to flow directly back to British businesses. And Nigeria is borrowing money that comes with a legal obligation to spend a fifth of it in Britain. When we say that Nigeria is surrounded by idiots, people say that we are insulting people. How could you, a finance minister, advise your country to go into such deal? How could you? Who are those in his cabinet? Who are those advising this drug lord? They don't have brain. And who got the first and biggest contract? It is British Steel that got the contract. British Steel Company. A company that was facing permanent closure just last year. A company whose two blast furnaces in Scunthorpe in England were about to be shut down permanently. You can answer that and said, oh, which one is the most stupid? What do you call? Is there any word that stupidest? Please help me. Is there any word like that? Stupid? Somebody help me.
And even if there
Is
is
there?
even if there's no word like that, Nigerians are used to created grammar, so we can give them that. It will suit them. They are
Okay, thank you.
the biggest on planet Earth. What would they?
Thank you. So imagine they just sat there and said, which of the country in the world will fall for this trap? Let's see which country has the most worst leader who reasoned through his anus. And they said, we got it. We got a catch. Nigeria will fall for this. And then they now carry phone and call Bianca Ojukwu. Call all of them that are in that circle. First of all, call the ambassador if they still have. Can you play this card? Throw it out. Throw the net out. Let's see if we can catch the fish. Bam! They jumped at it. Because this company was about to be shut down permanently in England, which would have meant the end of primary steel making in United Kingdom. So Britain's own government stepped in and spent 377 million of taxpayer money to keep British steel alive. That's what they did. And then weeks later, Nigeria's deal provided British steel with 70 million pounds contract for 120,000 tons of steel billets. That is what Nigeria did. And people may say, what is this steel billet? It is a semi-finished steel product. You know, a thick rectangular bar of steel that gets rolled or pressed into construction material. So they go through this process, and then at the end of it, you have they make it into a construction material. It is not a finished structure yet. No, it is a raw industrial input that will be needed. Okay, so Nigeria is now borrowing 746 million, and part of that money now is buying semi-furnished steel bars manufactured at Scunthorpe, England, not manufactured in Nigeria. It is not manufactured in Nigeria. And I want you to hear how the UK Trade Secretary Peter celebrated this deal in London. He said, and I'm going to use his exact word that is verifiable. He said, this is a major win for British Steel. Hey, this contract will do what? This contract will reinforce British Steel world-class expertise while supporting jobs. Did you hear? While supporting jobs and growth in Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe, he celebrated jobs in Scunthorpe, and Nigeria is taking 746 million pounds loan from these people. So Nigeria will repay that loan with interest. And the Britain Trade Secretary is celebrating job in Scunthorpe. Now, who will be paying this loan back? It is you, the Biafrans, that will pay, not the Yorubas. Because you don't want to support your freedom. You don't want to give us your IOU. You are very comfortable in Nigeria. Now, something just entered my head now. Have you seen the missiles that is prepared by Iran? The range now has reached 4,000 kilometers, right? You see why you are in a death trap, because Nigeria will do everything possible to bid with Iran. Nigeria will make sure they protect Iran's interests. Can you see why Nigeria never arrested all the members of Islamic movement of Nigeria when they came out and trampled on the flag of US and Israel? They dare not. Because Nigeria knows that Iran has missile that the range can extend to Nigeria. Yes, so any attempt, they will bring down Nigeria. So in Nigeria is yes sir to Iran. All the money that they've borrowed from Iran. So Nigeria must allow Iran to expand its Islamic movement of Nigeria, whether you like it or not. I am telling, whether you believe me or not, it is coming. Nigeria can never say no to Iran because they are afraid of their missiles. The world thought it was only the 1,000 kilometers range that they have. Now they came out and said, we have, and they tested it, it worked. Look at the map that is shared everywhere. It is not targeting at Israel. Hey. So you see where you are? If you don't come and support your freedom, you are at a very high danger. Nobody will bail you out. Because Nigeria is a yes-sir company. They can never say no. It is going to happen. Let them try it now. Let them try to stop it. They tried it. They said it was causing terror in the country, but it was on paper. This Islamic movement of Nigeria was called a terrorist organization in Nigeria, but it was on paper. No action, no arrest, and they came out fully, trampled on the flag of the United States and US, and nothing happened. And they were chanting, death to America, death to Israel. Nobody was arrested, nobody was tear gas, nobody was shot at, nothing. They were even giving them security because they dare not, what will I even say? They dare not go against the will and the agreement that they have signed with Iran. If not, they collect their own drones. And they know they don't have anything to protect their airspace. It will hit them. So that country is already a death trap for everyone. So Britain merged all of us together. In that 1914, they merged us together with the non-deficit to solve British colonial accounting problem. And then in 2026, Britain structured a loan with conditions that guaranteed British companies receive at a minimum of 1/5 of it. Saved the failing steel company using Nigerian port rehabilitation money, and their trade secretary stood in London and told the British public this deal. Wow, that is going to create jobs for the Britain people. Can you see what is happening? And they also brought the immigration deal as well, that Britain can now deport Nigerians back home safely and more easily without valid, even without valid passport, using something they call UK letter. So the UK Home Office says this will make it easier to remove visa overstays, foreign criminals, and failed asylum seekers. And the UK Home Office wrote those words to celebrate a deal that Nigerian president signed. And a Downing Street, number 10, Starmer asked Tinubu about Nigerian terrorist crisis, and Tinubu answered was, we are challenged by terrorism and the conflict from climate change, and all of that. And the man said, climate change? The president, whose own military general confirmed that the government knows the names and locations of every terrorism sponsor, who told the British Prime Minister that Boko Haram exists because of climate change. And Starmer, if you go back and watch that video, Starmer just looked at him and said, thank you, and moved immediately to the next topic, because there is no useful response to an answer with no connection to reality. And Tinubu flew back to Nigeria and told 250 million people that security is a shared duty. That is the message Tinubu came back to tell its citizens, that security is a shared duty. He outsourced your security to the country that created this mess. He signed your port to British steel workers. He agreed to deport your people, you Nigerians. at Britain's convenience. Hey, God of mercy. And he came back to tell you that all you need to do is to take care of your security, that it is a state duty. I don't know how many of you have seen that text, that security is a state duty. This January, where did he go? He went to Turkey. He signed what is called military cooperation protocol with Turkey. Turkey military expert will now train Nigerian special forces inside Nigerian military installation. So Turkey now and Nigeria will share satellite intelligence through a direct bridge between Nigeria and Turkey Intelligence Agency. Because what Nigeria has done now is to move around and sign memorandum of understanding. 6 foreign armies. We've seen Turkish drone in Biafra land already, and the structure that cannot even be fixed. That is what Nigeria is doing right now. And Nigerian Defense Industry Corporation is now partnering over 10 Turkish defense firms for local weapons assembly inside Nigeria. Remember when Tinubu said that very soon that Nigeria should even stop buying, importing weapons, that they should start to produce their own weapons. That is what Turkey is doing right now in Nigeria. So when they are producing these weapons in Nigeria, you could see that other countries will not be able to track and also, checkmate the usage of this weapon, because Nigeria is producing weapons now locally, and then they will give out these weapons to the terrorists to come and kill Biafran people. I don't know if you are hearing me. You could see now that the Bayraktar TB2 drone was developed primarily to fight the Kurds, which was developed by this same Turkey. And the Kurdish people, a people like us, because they're just like us, the Biafran people, have a distinct identity. They have their own language, they have their own history, and they have a long-standing demand for self-determination. And they have been primarily be the target of Turkey drones warfare. And Turkey has been calling them terrorists. So the Kurds call themselves a people seeking freedom. So Turkish technology, Turkish training has been designed for separatist suppression, which is what they are doing right now in Nigeria to suppress us. So now inside Nigeria, the same terrorists that are controlling Nigeria will be conducting military operations in our region where Biafrans are living. And a Nigerian presidential aide confirmed that Nigeria is cooperating simultaneously with 6 foreign intelligence services, with Israel, China, US, United Kingdom, France, Turkey, and the aide said Nigeria will cooperate with North Korea if it serves national interest, unquote. So 6 foreign intelligence services, billions in military hardware, and Nigeria is still the 4th most terrorized country on earth. What does that tell you? The problem is not weapons or allies, the problem is the structure itself. And what is that structure? Amalgamation. Amalgamation that was designed in 1914. And the only thing that will give peace is the de-amalgamation. That is what will give us peace. And the government knows. Kunle, who is a former Navy intelligence officer, 36 years, who has 36 years inside Nigerian military system, said it openly in Channels TV that Boko Haram terrorists were interrogated, they named names, they named their sponsors, and those sponsors are now sitting governors, sitting senators, and people inside Asurok. He said, I can't come on air and start mentioning names of people that are presently in government. I would have played the video, but because of time, I will not play. That I know that the boys were arrested, mentioned. Some of them are governors now. Some of them are in the Senate. Some of them are in Asurok. That is the message Kunle passed out. And General Buratai, former chief of army staff, also said the same thing. When asked why terrorism financiers were not persecuted, he said the same thing. That the government knows where the source comes from. Documents are there. Those agencies know whatever is happening. Action should be taken against all these people. And nothing has happened. Gumi also, who walked into the forest with to go and visit the terrorists, said the same thing, that the government knows every terrorist by name and by location. I don't go alone to negotiate. I go with the police, I go with the military and other security agencies. So they stand in the forest next to the terrorists and choose to negotiate instead of arrest. With Turkish drones overhead, with 6 foreign intelligence agencies available, and they choose to talk instead of arrest, because terrorism is a budget. Terrorism is the justification for security spending that it never audited. Nobody has ever audited it. And you could hear Gumi said, yes, so they are using the money to live large because nobody is auditing it. Nobody is checking whatever they are doing. So terrorism is the justification for security spending that is never audited. Who will do it? So the people who fund terrorism also fund the political careers of those who are supposed to fight. That is what 1914 amalgamation eventually produced. A system so structurally broken that the violence that created has become the mechanism of its own survival. And we have to go through what we call de-amalgamation. So de-amalgamation is not radicalism. No, it is the only logical answer to stop the killings of the Biafran people, to stop the killings of Christians. You know, what is this NGO? I've forgotten his name now. Oh, it has skipped my memory. That came out and made a video. I played this video a few days ago and gave a warning that there will be attack on 23rd of March. Did it happen? The answer is yes. A serious explosion. So imagine this watchdog coming out to alert the security unit that there will be a terror attack. He mentioned all the location that they're suspecting it will happen because they've intercepted their calls. What did the Nigerian government do? They did nothing. They allowed it to happen. People have died. They call it bomb explosion. But were they informed? The answer is yes. So what happened to all the money that they have borrowed to fight terrorism? What happened to all the security votes, all the budget under security? What happened to the money? They have squandered them because what? Terrorism is profitable to them. So if the structure is the problem, if 1914 amalgamation is the original violence that produced all the subsequent violence we've been seeing, then what is the solution? Can you fix a force measure by adding 6 foreign armies to maintain it by force? The answer is no. Can you end terrorism in a country whose government protects terrorism financially? The answer is no. South Sudan separated from Sudan in 2011. South Sudan has problems, but they are their own problems, chosen by their own people, not imposed by British accountants in 1904. A lot of countries have separated. So the amalgamation is the logical conclusion of what 112 years of evidence is telling us. The structure is broken beyond repair. And the people building the legal case for it through the correct international channels without violence, with lawyers and lobbyists and documented government structure are the Biafra Republic government in exile. We have exposed them. And what we want is the amalgamation so that we can have peace and live like normal people. Yeah, King David, you have the mic. Sorry, I didn't give you. Did you get the mic now? I've sent it. So that is the first part of amalgamation in brief. So that when other people pick the mic, they can also, chip in one or two before we go to the second part of the amalgamation, which is the terror within our own camp. King David, you have the mic. Welcome. Toti, I can see you. Oh, senior citizen Stella, I see you. A comdo. My skin was blank and I was busy talking. Rage and Fury. Hey. David, you have the mic, please. Can you hear me? We can't hear you, David. King David, we cannot hear you. Can you go down and then I'll send the mic again to you? We cannot hear you. Oh, thank you so much, Augustina. We've received your 20 Gemma. Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me see another comment. Our sister has given us 20 Gemma. Good day to us. Just to inform you that I've paid the pledge I made. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Please, it's a new week and we've started collecting space donation. Thank you once again to all those that made it last week. Thank you so very much. I'm going through in case somebody has dropped a message for us. Okay, stupid days. I was correct. Thank you, Comrade Ebo. He says stupid days. Thank you so much. Yeah, I gave you Mike Solomon. I'm not seeing anyone on the speaker except my COAs.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Biafrans, from my location. Tutor, my special thanks go to you for giving me opportunity to just speak a word. I would like to know if you ask any question, which I'm to answer, or I keep my own view. Am I coming
No,
out today?
yeah, we were talking on the topic is on amalgamation, and we have discovered now that we have two amalgamations right now. The first one was carried out by Britain, so we are in the first part of British amalgamation, which we have finished before we go to the second amalgamation. So, yeah, so you can give your submission on the UK amalgamation and what has been happening before we go to the second phase. That's what we've been talking about. I hope you are clear now. Can you hear me? Solomon, can you hear me? What is going on now? Hello? Can anybody hear me? Ah,
Yes, Tutor, we can hear you.
okay. Because I can't see anyone on the speaker except you, COS. Okay, 30. Okay. All right, since the internet does not want them to talk, let's continue whenever they are ready. We will talk because they will talk, sorry. I want you to listen to this amiable team, and then I will play the other video. You compare the two. I'm not okay. COS, you have your hand is up.
Yes, you just spoke about the British amalgamation. I want to point out something. I don't know if you're still going there, and I understand that you've handled this topic before, though I didn't know. So, British amalgamation, it was simply the unification of the Northern and the Southern Protectorate into a singular entity. This was done for the interest of the British government and the British people, not for your interest, not to favor our people who are originally the owners of the territory that they came into. People still don't realize the formation of what you call Nigeria today, yes, we know that the name was coined by Flora Shaw, but all of this is, you know, is an alternative to the Royal Niger, which the Royal Niger is the company of the British government. So other than continuing to use their company name, they created something that was coined to merge both the North and the Southern Protectorate together. Now, people might want to ask, what is a protectorate? A protectorate is an autonomous community or territory. Weaker state that is protected diplomatically or militarily against third parties by stronger sovereign states. When you hear these things, it makes you wonder, what were the British who came into the territory protecting? What are you protecting? What military and political whatever are you protecting in the different protectorates as they divided the North and the South? That wasn't brought in by you. The people lived in harmony. The Yorubas, the Oduduwas, and the Igbos, we never used to fight wars and stuff like that. Talk about the Benin Kingdom, in the Arewa nation, we had trade lines, trade routes. That's where the British government tried to put in their railway that connected both the North to the South for their business interest. Like Tuto pointed out here earlier, the creation of the Nigerian state today was merely to use the rich resources that comes from the South to take care of the North. People don't know, or people don't remember that before now, the British government used to pay the Fulani jihadists, who of course overran the North in 1803. After that overrunning of the North, the British government used to pay them tax to avoid them from carrying out terrorism that disturbed their trade line. So the British government has always had interest in the territory called Nigeria, but that interest is solely to benefit the British people. You talk about the creation of police by the British government in the territory called Nigeria. It was to use and suppress the people. Why you have the human riot and the kind of atrocity that they committed against our mothers. So the amalgamation of 1914 was solely to benefit the British government. You do not, in fact, the creation of the protectorate was by the British government. Our people never used to have protectorate. We had kingdoms that had laws that governed each and every community in their own different ways. But they coined all these things, created all these things, and merged it together. Now, people frown when we say that Nigeria is not one. Why do you frown at that? Meanwhile, from time immemorial, the North and the South were never one. They never used to do anything. They never used to do anything the same. It was never the same thing, which prompted the British government to join the both protectorate. These people who are talking about creating a protectorate fought a 30-something years war with our people, the Ekumeku War, that they barely were able to defeat our people in that very war. That took 30-something years. So how was the protectorate in existence before they were able to defeat our people in the Ekumeku War? All of these they coined to keep, taking the resources. You heard the PM yesterday, taking the resources of the Biafran people and all of that, building the United Kingdom. A lot of people don't understand today that most of what built the UK are resources stolen from different African nations. While people talk about the United States, who
is coming to help to make sure that the killers, the people who have been slaughtering you since 1803, that they get out of your territory. Some people want to open their mouth and talk about the United States wanting your resources. But the British government, the owner of the company, just like Burna Boy also sang in a song, how much was Nigeria sold to the British government? Can somebody remember how much it was sold to the British government? 800 and something thousand pounds. As at that time. Because what they were selling is both the oil, both the palm trees, and all of that was in our land. So it was never a negotiation that carried the people along. It was a negotiation for the selfish interest of the British. When we tell people that you that live in Nigeria, you that claim to be a Nigerian, you are a property of the British government, this is what we mean. They bought the territory and everything in it, including you who claims to be a Nigeria today. And they've not let go yet. Now, people also don't realize that the amalgamation document stipulates that after 100 years, the union is over. That 100 years ended in 2014. But Nigeria still lingers. The death trap against the western part of Africa still lingers because Nigeria is the death trap that awaits all the countries in the western part of Africa. The explosion of the terrorism in Nigeria will go on to affect every country in the western part of Africa and also into the West, into America, like they themselves have predicted. So the British amalgamation, it didn't start today. And even when it started,
Who
it
is
was
this one
all coined
watching from Facebook?
to deprive you of your own God-given resources, everything that belongs to you. It was coined to take away from you. Everything that would benefit your children was designed to be taken away from you to help other people's children, which is the British government. Harold Wilson said so. People don't understand. The British government secretly funded the war against our land, against our people, pushing down arms and ammunitions, different things that were not even in the book, things that they didn't record on their books, pushing all sort of arms to the Nigerian government to use and make sure that they wipe out our people. Not one day have you heard the British government condemn massacres, genocide in our land. Not one day. Don't forget, BBC is for the British government, and